Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about responding to the White House's call to action. Doordash partners with Walgreens to increase access and connect vulnerable communities to COVID-19 treatments. Okay, so first off, let's acknowledge the elephant in the room. I had no idea that COVID-19 was actually still on the rise. I think people were kind of just over it in the long term. But at the very least, we are not isolating anymore. Second, is it ironic to anybody else that DoorDash is partnering with the White House just after President Joe Biden actually stated that they want to reclassify gig workers? I don't think that's a coincidence. But that being said, I want to go over what DoorDash is saying about this, how it actually is for gig workers and potentially everybody else and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started. As part of DoorDash's work to broaden access to COVID-19 vaccines, tests, and treatments, we're proud to announce a new initiative to provide critical COVID-19 treatments to people living in underserved communities across the U.S. Stepping up to answer the president's call to action, we're partnering with Walgreens to facilitate free delivery of prescriptions of Paxlovid, an oral COVID-19 medication that can reduce the risk of hospitalization and death directly to the doorsteps of vulnerable Americans. So if you notice that there's an increase in Walgreens orders, that's probably part of it. Also, why does DoorDash, the company that is literally getting attacked by President Joe Biden, want to partner with them to actually move along his agenda? Simply put, they don't want to reclassify gig workers as employees, so they want to get on Joe Biden's good side and probably into his bank account. Through this new initiative, patients with a prescription for Paxlovid filled at Walgreens will be able to have their medication delivered directly to their homes through DoorDash at no additional cost. This is especially crucial for seniors and people who live in socially vulnerable communities, such as defined by the CDC ATSDR Social Vulnerability Index. Eligible consumers will be able to access free same-day delivery of Paxlovid via Walgreens.com and the Walgreens app with contactless delivery powered by Drive, DoorDash's white label fulfillment program that powers direct delivery for any business. I actually made a video talking all about DoorDash Drive and people's ability to actually make more money using that part of DoorDash. I will leave it in the description. Feel free to check it out. Now, I will be honest, I have a hard time trusting the CDC these days, ever since they were so wishy-washy with COVID to begin with. Oh, we need to isolate. Oh, we don't need to isolate. Oh, we need to isolate for 2 weeks. Oh, we only need it for 5 days, 2 days, 3 days. You know what? We don't need to isolate at all. It seems like the CDC is more economically driven than driven to actually benefit the health and safety of human life. So honestly, I don't really trust them overall. But that also said, if DoorDash is delivering people their orders, that means they're going to expect them to tip the driver. So if they're not getting tipped, they're probably not going to deliver it. So what are you trying to do here, DoorDash? You're just trying to flood our accounts with even more bad orders? Seriously. DoorDash is proud to again respond to the White House's call to action and partner with Walgreens to expand access to life-saving COVID-19 treatments ahead of the winter months, said Elizabeth Jarvis Sheen, Vice President of Communications and Policy at DoorDash. The pandemic has shown the urgent need for collaboration across the public and private sectors, and we look forward to working with our partners at Walgreens to ensure that those who need these critical COVID-19 treatments can access them in an equitable way. And hopefully they won't be turning gig workers into employees, because that would cost us way too much money. Today's announcement builds on our work throughout the pandemic to increase access by donating more than $3 million in community credits to bolster local outreach and encourage vaccination efforts across the country by teaming up with the White House, Cal OES, the state of Ohio, the National Association of Community Health Centers, NACHC, and Direct Relief. So $3 million is what Joe Biden got out of that, huh? That doesn't seem like a lot. I almost feel like that's just pocket change at this point. But I guess also the free labor for him would probably equate to even more, as well as pushing his campaign forward just before midterm elections. I could see that. Enabling on-demand delivery of over-the-counter health and wellness products products from Walgreens via Doordash, providing more convenient and reliable access to health supplies Americans need now more than ever, and donating nearly 40,000 at-home COVID-19 tests to community organizations in Chicago, Seattle, New York City, and DC, including the James Beard Foundation, DC Central Kitchen, Metropolitan Family Services of Chicago, so people suffering from COVID-like symptoms can learn their health status quickly. Okay, as someone who's actually had COVID, it's really not as bad as people sound. Maybe to more vulnerable communities such as senior living and those who have underlying illnesses, absolutely. They make it sound a lot worse than it actually is for a lot of people. DoorDash is proud to broaden access to vaccines, tests, and treatments, and to support the White House's ongoing COVID response efforts. We remain committed to empowering local economies and expanding access so that together we can better protect the health of our communities. Typical political nonsense. While they say this is for the efforts of COVID-19, it's really for the efforts of not changing gig workers into employees. That's what I see so far. This is my opinion. It's worth what you pay for it. Then you pay me. There you go. I know that DoorDash is doing everything they can to keep us as gig workers, as well as Uber and all of these other companies, because they don't want this to happen, realistically speaking. But that being said, is it so bad that they're doing that simply for the political aspect of it, so that way we remain gig workers? Actually speaking, I'm not too mad about that. I want to remain a gig worker. I would prefer to remain a gig worker. So the fact that they're actually trying to keep us as gig workers, I'm kind of happy about that, to be honest. Now, yes, the COVID-19 thing is going to be a bunch of nonsense. We're probably not going to get any tips from Walgreens orders. Or if we do, it's probably not going to be as much as they say they are. And probably on top of all of that, Joe Biden is probably still going to get the credit for this simply because he wants to push the political campaign forward. But is that all worth it to stay as a gig worker? I would say so, honestly. I hope it's enough to keep us as gig workers, because again, there's no promises made here. But I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this entire political nonsense that they kind of just brush it over again and keep kicking that can down the line for us not to turn into employees. I really hope that's the case, because that's what I would really hope it to be honest. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!